Hello, everyone. I feel like we need to run around the booths and bring people over. Maybe I do that after I've introduced you, because we have a fabulous panel up here. Welcome to the Pentas, Flora and Co.
Thank you, Charlotte.
We have Gunaprasath, who's going to be moderating the session today on the circular economy. Keep going. Have we got another? Have we got another? Yeah. Oh, sorry, it's at the top. Circular economy, exploring the transition to a circular economy model and its implications for business and society. So please give your warm round of applause for our panelists today. And I will pass across to you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this roundtable discussion on the circular economy. As the world grapples with the pressing challenges of climate change, resource depletion and waste management, the concept of a circular economy has gained significant traction. The circular economy, in essence, is a model that seeks to minimize waste and pollution by keeping resources in use for as long as possible, extracting maximum value for them, and recovering and regenerating materials when products reach the end of its useful tasks. Now, this stands in stark contrast to the traditional linear economy, which is characterized by a take, make, dispose model, which we are all very used to. Yeah? Now, according to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, transitioning to a circular economy could create a global economic opportunity worth trillions of dollars and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 70%. Now, in Malaysia, the government has been actively promoting circular economy initiatives, recognizing its potential to drive sustainable developments and enhance the country's competitiveness. Today, we have a distinguished panel of experts from various industries who will share their insights on the implications of the circular economy for businesses and society. Let me introduce the panel here. On my left, we have the ever-famous Rizal Kamaruzzaman. He's the Executive Director of Tindakan, Strategi and co-founder of GoBarakah. A round of applause, please. Next to him, we have Sashi Ambi, Head of Corporate Communications and Sustainability, BMW Group Malaysia. Then we have Nordin Abdullah, founder of NewsHubAsia and Malaysia Global Business Forum. We have Davent, CEO of Mandrill Tech, Sdn Bhd. Mandrill Tech is something very interesting here. It's an AI solution company. I'll explain why we've got them here later. Right? And beside him is, of course, our own Daniel Koh, Head of Plant Operations for Pentas, Flora. Okay, why don't we delve into the topic and explore the opportunities and challenges that we have in front of us, yeah? I will start with Sashi. Right? As BMW, we're going to start with the big name, right? Sashi, I'd like to ask you, how is BMW Group Malaysia integrating circular economy principles into its product design, manufacturing, and supply chain process? Can you share some specific examples of initiatives and innovations?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me, Guna. I'll just apologize straight off because I think I'm losing my voice. I've been talking about technology and innovation and electric vehicles from Monday, and it's already Wednesday. I think by Friday, I'll be learning how to sign. The products from BMW, at the moment, the car on the road is already built or created up to 40% from circular methodology. So if it's from the batteries in the electric vehicle, right up to the components, right up to the floor mats and the components, the door cards and every single element that's in the car, the plastics that are on the car, the material, the metals that are on the vehicle, and the way it's actually produced from the foundries, 0% carbon is actually emitted in the processes. And circular is a concept where we've looked into for more than a decade now, in terms of reusing elements that's already out in the world. So we don't no longer take it from primary resources. Yeah? So even the rare earth elements that are in the electric motor or even in the batteries are no longer come from the earth. It comes from groups or companies that have sat down together with countries like Australia, Morocco, and it works in a circular process in the sense that all these elements that are taken out from the earth are reused and completely used until the end of its time. So that is the ambition of the BMW Group globally. Yeah. Above and beyond that, when we're looking at the technologies for vehicles that's already in the market, and this is a project that we do with Pentas Flora, I think from 2 years ago already now. The idea is that in the traditional business here in Malaysia, all the oils and lubricants that you see that are removed from the vehicle go to Pentas Flora, and it's recycled back into base oil. Yeah, we're working currently. I am currently working on the second phase, and every time when Pentas Flora asks me to come and speak on the projects and the work we do, I feel like I need to just keep quiet and go back to the office and make sure we get to the second phase of the project. It's the idea of actually bringing those fuels back into the vehicle on a global level, not just in Malaysia, but in the process, and in that way helping in the region, having a process where oils and lubricants actually have this circular life where when it's removed from the cars, it is treated, it is blended, it's recreated into base fuel, and then it's blended again so that it runs into the vehicle, and that process keeps on going so that we do not have to burn, we do not need to dump, and we are in control of the whole business value chain of how this process works. Yeah. So this is a project that's in Malaysia, but also in recent times, as I mentioned, as recent as Monday, I sit down with the Malaysian government, and we're trying to establish, and we already are able to do this, to recycle a vehicle completely if it's damaged, met with an accident, if it's a total loss. So if you can imagine, all the metals, all the plastics, all removed, put into circular methodologies. Airbags from the cars, same. Batteries, if it's an electric vehicle, even if it's a combustion engine, the metals from the engine, the lubricants from the engine, completely, the vehicle can be broken down completely and repurposed back into what it's in the industry, and eventually it comes back to become a new car again, completely in the recycling process. So that is the ambition, and that is the challenge as well. And I think every company that's in Malaysia, I think in the world, should be looking at projects like this on a very small scale, but grow it like intermittently over a long period of time. Yeah.
Thank you, Sashi. And yes, I will hold you to that, Sashi, because I'm going to give you a call sometime next week, and we are going to continue our process, yes? And like Sashi said, companies like BMW have taken this very seriously. But Rizal, let me ask you, your company, Tindakan Strategi, focuses on strategic planning and sustainable consulting. Now, how can businesses effectively assess their readiness for a circular economy transition and identify key areas for improvement?
Thanks, Sashi. Sashi, for a good explanation about BMW, and hopefully you can get to the next phase. I've been with you since 1.5 years ago. Well, let me take it from the perspective, from a Malaysian perspective. I've got around about 8 to 9 components that I would like to just go through with you that will be critical for us to understand, okay? First and foremost, for any organization, we must align with national policies. I'm speaking from the Malaysian perspective. Understand what's there in the 12th Malaysia Plan, 13th Malaysia Plan, rolling plans, and the annual budget. Because from there, we are able to see there's a lot of opportunities. And from there, for example, waste management policies, and how we're going to promote, how the government and the corporate and even the rakyat, or the citizens, to be part of the circular economy. Second one, we have to evaluate current practices, okay? Also being tactical and practical at times. And we must understand that some solutions are in front of our eyes. At times, less is better. Why reinvent the wheel? And of course, sometimes we go back to basics. See what traditional practices we can bring back into the daily practice of an organization. And of course, it all starts from home. So we are not only talking about industry here, we're talking already for the stakeholders up to the level of your children, your progenies. So start from there. Leverage on local incentives. So you must understand that whatever that you see online, whatever you see online, is not the whole picture. There are a lot of tax incentives that you are able to leverage on, that you are able to capitalize. It's just that you have to make an effort to meet the relevant agencies. So for the government too, I hope that they are able to actually consolidate instead of us going to multiple agencies, which can be quite cumbersome. Focus on key sectors. For Malaysia, we're looking into waste management. These are the three critical ones: waste management, manufacturing, and agriculture. So from these three key industries, they are the primary drivers in our country. And then I would like to say give you a simple example. There is this organization, this company is called E-Idaman. E-Idaman, they're based, they are like the Alam Flora, but they're doing the northern region. Their strategy is to ensure daily reduction of, they can save about 5 to 10% for any schedule or any waste that enters the landfill. If they can reduce 3%, it is a lot. So they have that in place. So they are one good example. And what we can do is, also E-Idaman, they have recycling centers, which is the way, is an economic activity, whereby the citizens can go there, recycle, and they're able to make money. So simple things like that. And what they have done is educate, inculcate, and enculturate people. Again, it all starts from the people. And next component I would like to highlight is the gap analysis. Understand the gaps. And the next one is partnerships. See what we can do with the partnership, public-private partnerships at different levels of the society. And lastly is training. Human capital is very important. I would like to point out something here. Foreign industry, as you are fully aware, the group of the workers that are managing the waste or managing all the activities on the ground, they're 3D, we call it dirty, dangerous, and they are the ones who they have a lot of language barriers. So we have to go down to basics. Do not bother using jargons, which they will never understand. And believe me, they do not appreciate. Go back to simplicity. Play around with color codes. Give them simple instructions so that they are able to execute the plan accordingly and whatever they have to do. Because if not, you will not achieve the desired results. Monitor your KPIs, okay? So you must understand that whatever that we do, whatever KPIs you do, you have to take baby steps, all right? So when you take baby steps, everything starts, the power of starting small. We do not have to go to take the quantum leap. It takes time, and changing changing the mindset, changing the attitude, it takes time. So once the people, they believe in the cause, they believe in the direction, then the objectives, the major objectives, the macro objectives will be achieved. So that's how I manage from the top on that.
Thank you, Rizal.
Can I just
Yes,
add,
go for it, Sashi.
I think the 2 points that that Rizal pointed out is very, very important here. I think one, in the earlier on when you mentioned sometimes policy, and lots of times in developing countries like us, and our colleagues at the government, they get caught up with the policy. And I think it's, as private companies, it's our task to actually look at the innovation and the small task. Yeah, so that's the second thing, the small task. Starts out with a small task, and it should be like that. It's not, that I think the impact of this change that we are looking for is a huge one, and we will get there. But every big change starts with one simple small task, and you have to diligently work on it. Yeah, and I think these two things are actually key. And the third one is big organizations like BMW and Pentas, Flora, but I also work with smaller organizations, and this is the first time, I think, in a very long time where the business wheel of organizations are actually changing, and there's huge opportunities for big companies to actually invest and work, eventually invest, but also work directly with small, medium enterprises and industries to develop expertise and start a good business process, and then eventually grow that into something that's much, much larger. And I think these three key elements that I see in what I already do with Pentas, Flora and the other partners as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Sashi. Now, having said that, yeah, based on what these two gentlemen just said, I took down a note on training human capital as well as changing mindsets. Now, I said this earlier, I'm going to explain this. Now, I met up with Davent the other day, right, when we were having a chat, right, and he enlightened me with AI, right, and I thought to myself, this AI solution is not just, it's no longer the future, it's the present, and it should be inculcated in businesses, especially the circular economy. That is why Davent is here, and I'm going to throw the next question to you, Davent.
Sure.
Now, as a technology company, how can Mandrill Tech leverage digital innovation to support the circular economy initiatives? Are these specific technologies or solutions that can facilitate resource optimization and waste reduction?
Sure. Thanks, Guna. Thanks for having me as well. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Davent. Why am I here? Of course, is a technology companies to do with the oil productions and talking about circular economies. I can say we can't detach technologies from these circular economies. When you're talking about wanted to implement this kind of new process and to adopt for technologies, you need to know that the objective of doing this technology and digitalizations. First of all, from Mandrill Tech, we are focusing on AI and big data platforms to help the companies to monitor the wastage, especially in terms of the energy and the water. So all these are the crucial elements for each of the operations running in the companies. And our platform basically have put in IoT together with some facility management platform to monitor the usage of the water, energy, and from there provide you some data analytic and some data-driven decisions to know whether any leakage or any waste in the company. Why we are doing this for first phase is because as a company, if you wanted to talk about circular economy, you need to know that what is the current usage of your each companies, comparing to the same industry, different companies, the same size of companies, doing the similar number of revenue, are we on the top bar or middle or the below? Without the real data that telling you where are you couldn't compare and know that whether you should implement certain process and improve the utilizations of your resources. So our data platform is to tell you where are you exactly, and also to give you a real-time analytics to tell you, is there any abnormal usage or leakage based on some information or data that we gather. And of course, the same time we put in big data team to look into your data and find out certain algorithms to tell you, is there any leakage that you are not noticed about this? And this is the first stage. The second stage is when you have accumulated sufficient data. Then this is where we're telling you to do a bit of forecast, how to prevent the leakage, how to prevent all these unutilized resources, when is the best times to do a procurement, and also what is the best product or the raw materials price that you should actually purchase by looking into the big data in the global network side instead of your own internal networks. So with this data platform, I would say it can help you to digitalize, and of course, a lot of corporates say it's a heavy investment for us. And if you want to start with digitalize and the process to gather all the data and to start with this, a lot of big corporate, they provide ERP system. And implement ERP system, it takes ages, about a year, until you see the result of it, and then you can implement certain process and stop certain wastage. It is too long. So what we do it is we have a ESG ready platform to plug in. Within 2 weeks, we capture all the data and we start to analyze and comparing your company data with the rest of the market data that we have, and to tell you that whether you are at abnormal or what are the remedies that you can put it in. So this is slightly different with the traditional system to place. Yeah, basically it's that way.
Thank you, David. You see, basically what Mandrill Tech has done here is made life a lot easier for all of us businesses. Yep. Having said that, with AI in the picture and with technology in the picture, let me throw the next question to our colleague here, Daniel. Daniel, how is Pentas Flora incorporating circular economy principles into its manufacturing processes? Can you share examples of waste reduction, energy efficiency, or material recovery initiatives? And how could AI help with this?
Okay, thanks, Guna. Thanks for having me here. Good afternoon, everybody. Pentas Flora is committed to incorporating the circular economy principles into its manufacturing processes. I can share this subject via waste reduction, water conservation, and energy efficiency. On the first one, waste reduction, Pentas Flora had been implementing the rigorous waste segregation programs across our facilities. This includes scheduled waste from the maritime industry, plantation industry, automotive industry, construction sector, and many others. For instance, we segregate metal drums that are used for oil storage, plastic lubricant bottles, metals and paper from automotive filters, which are then that can be recycled and reused. This will then be prevented away from landfills. That's to start with. According to the Department of Environment, which we work very closely, the waste generation rate in the country had been on the increasing trend over the recent years. By implementing these effective waste management practices, we actually are able to contribute to reducing the overall environmental impact of these industries. Now, moving on to water conservation. For us, we constantly assess our water usage, which is also being touched as one from Davent just now. We look at the water usage and also implement water-saving technologies in wherever feasible. For example, this includes usage of low-flow equipment and also water recycling closed-loop system in our manufacturing processes. For example, closed-loop cooling system in our cooling towers, which helps us to minimize our fresh water consumption. Just for your information, for us in Malaysia, at specific part of the country, we face water scarcity, especially during dry seasons. We all know that. So by conserving water, we are, well, for Pentas Flora, we are helping to contribute to the sustainability of our own operations, as well as to the countries supporting the water resources. Finally, on the topic of energy efficiency, I can share that at our recovery facilities, the two key main energy inputs for our processes are electrical energy, and also fossil fuel, natural gas in particular. We also again monitor our energy consumption for across our operations. Just to share some of the initiatives that we took to reduce our energy and carbon footprint for our facilities. Number one, we invest on energy efficient equipment across our operations. Number two, we embark on a registered energy manager program that is endorsed by the Energy Commission. We integrate waste heat recovery across our manufacturing processes just to recover some of the waste heat. The fourth one will be conducting various energy audits, for instance, to optimize our electrical energy consumption on our compressor systems, conducting burner optimizations to reduce our fuel consumption. And last but not least, we partially substitute our fossil fuel usage via fuel derived from waste material. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, the traditional way of doing things, Pentas Flora, is there. Now, I hope that in time to come, we would have AI into Pentas Flora as well. What say you, Daniel?
Yeah. Again, touched by my Davent just now. ERP. It's all about data decision making as well, even for in any manufacturing facility, rather than by people dragging on records. These are taking time. So with AI decisions with data, will become in a split second, or quicker, many times quicker than the way we do things before. Very interesting. I'm sure that we will be exploring, as what has been said, AI is no more the future, but it's the present. I would say most of the industry need to embark on this. Data benchmarking, from benchmarking doing optimization. It depends on how big of a subject you're looking at, and it applies as well to the very, very minor subject. Data, it's power, I would say.
Agreed. Data is your new currency. Okay, let me shift the spectrum a little bit here. We've been talking about industries. Now, I've got a very good friend here who's been a media inspiration to a lot of people, yeah? Mr. Nordin. Now, as a media entrepreneur and thought leader, how do you perceive the public's awareness and understanding of the circular economy? What are the key challenges in communicating the benefits and importance of this concept?
Thank you, Prasath. And of course, actually the key problem is words. I mean, we have technology, we have gap analysis, we have all the smart people in the room giving us all the right technological realities. But I think there's two words we need to think about. The word is waste, and the other word is residue. When you think about the psychological impact of the word waste, it is negative, and it's just needs to be thrown away and put into a landfill, as was mentioned earlier. If you use the word residue, means there's something left over from a certain process. And if you assign a value now to this residue, imagine now if your audit put a value to the residue of a certain process, and then you told your chief financial officer that you threw away that value. Think about it. You know, how are you going to pass your audit? You won't, is the simple answer. So it's a paradigm shift in thinking around two words. The circular economy is the big picture, but the details are now down to these two words. You know, we can get into scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, and even the new invention of scope 4 is coming. You know, this kind of stuff. But the reality is, if we can't change the way we think, we won't be able to change the way we act. How do we change the way we think? is by the words that we use and the meanings that we ascribe to those words. Simple things, but very powerful.
So well said. And I totally agree. You see, we think of waste as in something to dump and throw away. But being with Pentas Flora, we tend to realize that waste is actually gold. And waste actually has a lot of value to it. It's just how you utilize the waste and what do you do with it. Do you re-refine the waste and reuse it, or do you dump it? So instead of dumping it, it could actually be your next gold. So think about it. Next time you're going to throw trash away, think about what that trash is going to become. Could it become something good? Is it going to be a next part of your car? Probably. It could happen as well. Yeah. So waste is gold, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we've realized here. Now I'm going to throw this. Go for it, Sashi.
Can I just add about what Nordin just mentioned? I think the key again, talking about the scopes and in the process, and coming back to the whole topic on the waste, looking at, I think a lot of companies, especially here in Malaysia and in the circles that I sit with and the groups that I work with, we get caught up with these scopes. Yeah. So we are looking at the CO2, and I always say it's very important to look at the carbon footprint. But often we get so caught up in it that we thinking, okay, the scopes that we need to do based on what's on paper, what can we declare, and what can we, to have transparent, yes. But I think the innovation should be driving this understanding. Yes, we should be looking at CO2, but from the perspective of, okay, this is our business process. These are the wastes that may come out from it. What else can we do with it? And I think this is the main direction for it, even before going back and reporting. So I've done the whole process already now. And to be honest, the reporting was the last thing I did on, the last thing we worked on. And we didn't even look at it from the scope perspective and what constitutes, like, the global directive of how ESG is looked at from the scope perspective, because I think if we try and fit things in that module, it just impedes all the work that's on the ground. So that's my point here.
Totally agreed. And let me divert back to Rizal here. Now, Rizal, having listened to all this, all these gentlemen have been speaking about various areas of circular economy. Now, what are some of the most promising circular economy opportunities in the Malaysian market, particularly in the areas of waste management, renewable energy, and resource efficiency?
Okay, I would like to highlight a little bit about what Davent and Daniel said, okay? And of course, Sashi and Nordin. The key word is business, business, business. Waste should be redefined to resources. Again, changing from what Nordin said to residue. What about we take one step out and say, turn it into resources? So the perspective changed. And from there, in Malaysia, from our perspective, we've got several components that we can look at. First is the waste management component. Go back to plastic recycling, waste to energy, e-waste recycling. And then that's what Davent and Daniel said, resource efficiency. This is what you're doing right now. With that resource efficiency, you have sustainable manufacturing, water management, and sustainable packaging. So all of this will come into play. And then for the RE, renewable energy, solar, biomass, energy efficiency. But I have one question to throw to all of you. Have you ever thought of a new business, of what's going to happen to all the solar panels after its end of life? Have you ever wondered what happened to the 3-5 group? Because most of the solar panels they have gallium arsenic. Where are we going to dump them? So this is something besides battery, besides electrical circuits and etc., gold you can extract from there. just to throw this idea that there is an opportunity in the coming next to 10 to 15 years. I did ask in various forums, what are we going to do with solar panels and the solar cells? So if you can determine a right business strategy or create the technology to actually recycle or reuse or upcycle all these things, this is one opportunity. And not to forget, in agriculture, in food security, as you're fully aware, many of the farmers, what they do is, whenever they cultivate, let's say, apples, strawberries, or whatever, they do not class it because everything has a grade A, B, and C. And if you educate them to actually grade them, the grade A will be good for export, grade B for local, and grade C, you can go to the mass market. And with people who cannot afford, they can still get the type of vegetable they want. So there is agriculture, there's a lot of wastage there. And not to forget, we should be looking into chill rooms because food can last for up to 2 years. So what happened to all the food? So there are many opportunities in Malaysia. And another thing one last point is green financing. Whenever we talk about carbon credits, yes, you can get carbon credits, but what do you do with it? Does it give you the free way to actually pollute more? You can buy carbon credit for countries that are not polluting more. So now it's a matter of ethics here. So that will come into play. So this is where if Malaysia and from our region, they want to take charge of this, they have to look into that. And of course, from green financing, from the Islamic perspective, it's called Maqasid Sharia. You're supposed to protect the environment, protect the progeny, protect wealth. So all these things from the Sharia component is a very, very big business there for potential, the other side call it ethical funding, we call it Sharia funding. So these are many opportunities that Malaysia can tap from. Okay, thanks.
I'm just going to jump in a little bit.
I was just going to say, I see the mic in the hand. Go for it, Sashi.
There's a reason for this. I think you touched a lot of great things there from a very macro perspective. From a micro perspective, I can tell you, and after this session, if you want to know what businesses to invest in or what to do, even in AI, I'm running my booth at the corner there, but you have to pay me for this because this is money. In the basic simple thing is tracking, and I think AI has a component to play here. Because right now, while we are able to have the processes in place, you ask this question, what will happen to all the solar panels, right? But if you go and ask all the solar panel companies where they put the solar panels and where they sold it, where they are unable to tell you where exactly these solar panels are. It's as simple as that. And it's the same thing with batteries. Yeah. So already I can tell you in its initial phases, if you really think about it, and this is what I'm seeing, tracking the batteries. Yeah. Something as simple as you can put a QR code on anything to track, to understand, to learn. And I think at the beginning of the week, I think the transport minister introduced these EV license plates, these smart license plates. And this, you can actually, with those smart license plates, there's a QR code there, you can actually track it. You can understand a little bit more, not just about the vehicle and the ownership and all that. But if you look at the simple element, I think every single component, every single, and I'm talking from the automotive industry only, but if you think about it on a physical sense in every other industry, if there is an opportunity to be made, is tracking mechanisms to understand where these components are going, where it should eventually go, and this is very important because the key element in circularity is control or an understanding or a complete investment. When I say investment, I'm not talking about money, I'm talking about wanting to know where is it your components are coming from, where are they coming from which elements, where are they going, and eventually what becomes of them. And the one thing that actually enables this is tracking, and even that's not happening. So that in itself is a business opportunity. The second thing, when it comes to recycling, yes, like as I mentioned, we can recycle every component of a vehicle 100%. And we break down the batteries, right, even to the three minor components from what it is. So nickel, lithium, and cobalt. But do you know these materials are not kept in this country? Lots of times, right, it's actually uprooted, put on a boat, and you're moving it. Can you imagine what happens if like an incident when these things, like a boat crashes? I mean, I think recently there was this major, like you think like Singapore, and I do a lot of work there. Singapore is like a very modern society. They believe in ESG in a very big way. The government is investing in so much, but a drastic oil spill, I don't know whether you guys read about it, saw like it happened in that country. So if it can happen in a country that's forward thinking in something, in an element that we are talking about here, and the ability to act and react was such a tragic environment incident, can you imagine what's happening here, right? What controls are we having on these sort of elements? So I think tracking, if you look at it, so when you think about it, even in a country as progressive as Singapore, with all their methods in place, the tracking system is not there. Yeah.
Agreed. And this is where big data and AI comes in the picture again. Yeah, David, let me get back to you on a question here. We've heard the opportunities here, but I'm pretty sure there are challenges that you face as well with regards to big data and AI in the industry. Now, what are the potential challenges and risks associated with adopting a circular economy model, and how can businesses mitigate these risks?
Good questions, Guna. First of all, I address to Mr. Sashi's side, mentioned about tracking. It's very, very true that if you really want to achieve the tracking and to utilize the big data and educate the AIs how to bring benefits to the day-to-day life, all these things, the tracking is very crucial. And in IT world, we call it as a blockchain technologies. And we started to implement blockchains to do all these trackings from the supply chains, from the upstream to the downstream side of tracking is all using the blockchain side. And to address your questions, one big challenge is that how to get all these corporates to adopt to these digitalizations and mitigate the risks, and also to adopt to this recurring economy, I think is about the cost. The costing is a very big issue. When we talk about a simplified big data platform, which means we go into your corporate, converting all your actual manuals and day-to-day operations into a data, and accumulate all the data and do the trackings on the data so that we can train the AI. So this itself, a lot of corporates say it will be very costly. It will be very costly process. And what do I get benefits out of it? If it is just to do tracking, monitoring, currently I'm using some kind of tech is already achieving it. Why I want to invest that? So one of the things that why Mandrill Tech are here and today that I want to bring awareness to others is the awareness is not about digitalizations and how to make use of it to reduce the wastage, all these things. The education of awareness is supposed to be the head of the groups or the owner of the corporates. In China, I just back from China last week, how the digitalizations and AI helping over there is different with what we taught today over here. Today, you implement solutions. You're monitoring wastage and then improve efficiency for your operations, for your factories, for your corporates. That's how we use IT and AI. But over there, they see your corporate's data as one of the gold resources. As just now addressed, waste under Pentas Flora, it is a gold. Because you recycle, you convert it to become some things that you're marketable, and converting to monetization sites. In terms of IT and technologies, data in your company is actually a goal that you didn't realize about it. To us as a technology company, we see a corporates that haven't started any digitalizations, haven't started to accumulate their data into platform as simple as ESG data platform, which Pentas Flora already started. This kind of data, if you don't accumulate into a platform, to us, it is just like you open the water tap, the water just leaking. Your day-to-day data, you don't really accumulate it, and there's no way for you to recycle the data and make it a valuable asset to your company. I give you an example is, your companies are doing trades and product sellings to all the corporates and consumer. So all these informations, you never track it into a data lake or a platform. In China, all the corporate already started this is because government is already formed the data exchange entities such as Bursa for corporate to exchange data and trade your data. So if your corporate already have data, you accumulated, technology company like us could actually help you to recycle your data, anonymous your data, do the cleaning of your data, and make it tradable. As and when this exchange happen in Malaysia, your data can actually exchange for money. And in China, they see this data exchangeable income will become their one of the top GDP in the country. As simple as if there is a big vehicle manufacturer want to penetrate Malaysia, they want to know what type of oil that could benefit to their type of vehicle. I need the data to support my market plans. They're willing to pay government for such valuable data, and the government willing to pay for corporate who can trade this data to them. But unfortunately, a lot of corporate don't really start this journey yet. And when this time comes, there will be panic about they have been wasting all this data in the past few years, have not been accumulated, and now is not their time yet to monetize it. So this is that type of awareness that I want to bring to all the corporate people. It's not about awareness of how to recycle and then this item and that item, but it's more into technology, your data wastage, that kind of awareness I want to bring to the corporate sites. So with that, how to mitigate the risk, basically the cost in China side, to invest, to build a big data platform, all the IT company do it for free. Because as and when they trade the data, they get a profit sharing from there.
Fantastic. Yeah, go for it.
Sorry.
Just a quick one. I like what you mentioned just now. And in order to do that, there is something that every country, because many companies, organizations here, they treat data it's like Fort Knox, all right? They're not willing to share. Trade secrets, they do not want to know. So in order to make this happen, there has to be a policy and a Parliament Act in order to manage data, because we have our PDPA. And to exchange data is something that needs to have regulatory intervention, especially for Department of Statistics, because I know that they're looking towards this, but there's a lot of challenges in terms of data sharing in this country. I'm speaking from the behalf of, I'm speaking from the perspective of Malaysia. Okay.
Agreed. I have spoken with the US as well, and the US has mentioned that they are working on this. They are working on data consolidation and so on and so forth. However, because you see, like once you have a regulatory body in place, it makes it a lot easier. Because you see, in Malaysia, right, what we have, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything here, but we have a lot of illegal operators in the market, right? And these illegal operators illegally sell data. So there's challenges in that sense as well, and it's across board with every industry. Even Pentas Flora has got this problem with illegal operators in the market, And Daniel, I'm going to throw this back to you. Now, with the illegal operators in the market, that is one challenge that I can see from what the Pentas Flora is facing. What are the other specific challenges and opportunities faced by the oil and gas industry in transitioning to a circular economy?
Thank you for the question. Right. So on this, the oil and gas industry as a whole faces several challenges that I could think of, and I will share this. First and foremost, the challenge of product complexity here. Lubricating oil itself is a complex mixture with specific performance requirements. Having said that, the first challenge here is to convince or raise the confidence level of the lubricant producers on the performance of re-refined base oil's performance against virgin base oil. This is the first challenge. Second, the challenge for the oil and gas industry is to secure this limited available volume of quality RRBO available in the region here. So ladies and gentlemen, why I say this itself is a challenge, I will elaborate further in the coming example of further challenges. Comes to the point which was touched earlier by yourself, Guna. Limited volume comes with also linked to the issue the industry is facing as well on illegal waste management companies. These companies do not register themselves with the Department of Environment. With that, it leads to they do not operate with permits or environmental safeguards, leading towards illegal waste disposal as well as environmental pollution. While they also undercut actually legitimate businesses like us, Pentas, Flora, making it difficult to compete in a level playing field. So with this, feedstock becomes scarce and turns less feedstock, less RRBO being in the market. So this comes back overall to the oil and gas industry being another challenge. Finally, another challenge will be to have a complete circular economy. It comes with needing to have a robust waste collection and recovery facility infrastructure in place. Now, unfortunately, in general, in the country, the infrastructure for waste collection, sorting, and then recovery of used oil still needs further development in the country. I'm speaking on Malaysia specifically. On this front, Pentas Flora has invested on infrastructure years ago, with now its presence of collection points in various locations across the country. Also, we are also in the brink of expanding our recovery network in Malaysia. Recently, we had a memorandum of understanding with Lembaga Tabung Warisan Amanah Negeri Terengganu and also the East Coast Economic Region Development Council, which signifies a major step forward in addressing the growing waste management challenges topic. I quote Department of Statistics here. The solid waste generated in Malaysia, it's about 38 million metric tons in 2022. And this figure is projected to increase in an alarming rate to about 45 million metric tons come 2030. So with the establishment of this advanced recovery facility in Kerteh Biopolymer Park, this will position itself as a crucial solution to promote sustainable waste management practices in the East Coast Economic Region area. So those are the challenges. Now, to the opportunities. One very obvious one to the oil and gas industry is quickly embark on your adoption of RRBO in India formulations. That's one way. what we have is we have in-house ISO certified laboratory to ensure that the produced RRBO, the global standards are met and then maintained. Second opportunity, I would say, will be apart from RRBO adoption, it's then partnership, collaboration. Well, partnership between oil and gas company, waste generators, waste management firms, technology providers are crucial in developing and implementing innovative circular economy solutions within the industry itself. So partnership. And last but not least, of course, government support on the subject is crucial. How could it be possible? For example, just a simple carrot and stick approach would help. The carrot would be to incentivize businesses that adopt more circular economy practices, where the stick will be stronger regulatory enforcement on illegal waste management company. Yeah, with all this in place, it will create a more favorable environment for sustainable circular economy ecosystem to thrive. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Now, gentlemen, we don't have much time left, but I'm going to circle back to Nordin here. Yeah. Now, Nordin, you are not just a media entrepreneur, but you're also a businessman. Now, can I throw this question to you on how can the media and the public discourse contribute to driving the adoption of circular economy practices in Malaysia? That's from a media perspective. How can media help us? And also on a business perspective, what are your thoughts on the matter?
For me, the first thing is, I always like to say, I like to see greenwashing. You know, I like to see greenwashing. And why do I say that? It's because it kind of puts the cat amongst the pigeons. It says, look, we're trying to do something. We're trying to put our intention out there that we're trying to be environmentally friendly. We understand that we should be doing something for the circular economy, for ESG, and for all the right acronyms. So I think when you see the media and certain corporations try to get it right, I think this is a good sign. Even though, you know, the purists would say, oh my God, this, you know, these guys have, you know, recently destroyed a reef or a rainforest or something, but they're actually trying to say, look, we know that there's something we've got to do right. So they will then spend their resources to raise awareness. And again, we're in this problem of awareness. Most people go about their days not thinking about the circular economy or anything like that. They're still in the reality of putting bread, you know, putting food on the table. So I once said to the New York Times, actually, I said, halal certification is a luxury that is only afforded the middle class. Why? Because they can make a consumer decision. So now, for the same thing, environmentally certified products and environmentally beneficial products are now a luxury that the rich and the middle class can enjoy. But the bottom half of society don't have that choice. So how do we drive that down to the bottom half of society? And at the same time, how do we use the energy of leading companies like people like BMW, Pentas, Flora, who are actually on the cutting edge? I mean, the reality is we're two cutting edge corporations right now. Most corporations aren't there.
Thank you, Nordin. Very well said. And when you first said that you encourage greenwashing, I was like, no, Nordin, no. But Sashi, go for it.
No, but actually, to echo what Nordin says, actually, it's very interesting because there's a lot of organizations and a lot of panels that I get into, and I don't do a lot of them, but the ones that I get into, and a lot of people who work in the sustainability or the ESG space, they're always very quick to point out greenwashing, right? Like my company is better than your company in terms of doing it, but it's not a competition. This is one area, one focus area that all companies, all industries, and it's the only opportunity where companies can work together without the conflict of the Competition Act and whatnot, and colluding, right, to actually do something that's a bigger purpose for the industry. And I think a lot of people don't see it in that way.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like a race. It's always like a race to who's doing more than the other, which is a good thing, but if we get somewhere, right? So it's not happening that way. And the other thing I want to point out was, I know you have not much time, but a colleague of mine in the Netherlands, and if you know the Netherlands, they're very progressive in terms of sustainability, ESG topics, and areas, especially ESG topics and sustainability. And he was mentioning about a group of competitors that are coming from a certain part of the world where they never say anything about, not a word about sustainability, not a word about CO2 responsibility in the products and services. And the companies that do go out and say a lot about it, get penalized more than the ones that just keep quiet about it. You know, the ones that say, hey, we are doing this, people will actually go out and find out if it's not 100% according to what they say, they go out to the press and say, these guys are greenwashing. Whereas a guy that's keeping quiet and is the biggest pollutant in the world gets away easily because he's just quiet. So that's the other.
So the advice is to keep quiet? Yeah. Okay, I wish we could go on with the questions here because it's so interesting, this discussion, but we are running late as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to conclude by saying that it's not just about the companies, but it's more about the consumers, the organizations, the governments getting together to ensure that the circular economy is met to specifications. And these renowned gentlemen here who are pioneers in their industries, I hope that they would take this back and share it with more people out there, and all of you to share it with more people as well, to ensure that the circularity question is being met. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for our panelists, and thank you so much to all of you for being here. Have a good day ahead. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. It was awesome.
I always love your macro level.
I want to get a picture. Let's get a picture together. Come, let's take a picture together.
Yeah.